Bros. All right. Welcome to another episode with the
Modern Family.
It's the Guys Takeover episode. We're about to ball out. The vibes are high. We've been recording for, 10 hours? Something like that? 13 hours, says the producer. So,
well, we played baseball for a while.
While the girls were in here, I was in here producing, being part of the girls recording. It was hilarious. Like, they're all like, the reality of a mom. And like, they're crying. And then look out the window. And y'all are like doing backflips on the trampoline. I'm like, yeah. I was like, if only they could see behind them outside right now. But happy to be with you guys. I'm excited.
Yeah. Hey, just quick plug. This episode is sponsored by Summer Moon Abilene. So.
Thank you. Speaking, actually, let's do some introductions because I think that's relevant. I think a lot of guys, what we bond around is like our work. So I think it'd be really fun just to introduce yourself and then just say like what you do. If you have your hand in multiple things, you can talk about that a little bit too. But I'll start. I'm JD. I am a creative director for a men's lifestyle and apparel brand called Burley Bow. And I do all kind of their marketing, social media, creative stuff.
Raise your hand if you have on Burley Bow right now.
This episode is actually sponsored by Burley Bow. For the athlete, for the outdoors, for the family. Yeah. For the family. Am I right?
Let's go.
Nice. You're welcome, Trey. All right. Let's go this way.
All righty. Just name and
what you do?
My name is Alec, and I sell gutters.
Sells gutters. Maybe. We think.
The jury's still out on that one.
So I run a company here in the Austin area and in Waco. It's called Leaf Filter, where we sell gutters, and we do a number of other things. Selling other like products like home filtration, nothing else like crazy.
A number of other things.
Yeah.
All right,
that's a big umbrella.
Yeah, and I also am in real estate. We do real estate investing. We have some rent houses and stuff like that. So that's great. Just really all we do.
Yep. Next.
My name is Britt, and I am a salesman for Temporary Site Services. A kind of quick backstory of that is it was a family company. My brother-in-law, Van, his dad's company, Hook and Haul Dumpsters. So we had dumpsters for about 7 or 8 years, and then we just recently sold to Viking. And so now I'm a salesman there at Viking.
4 Million Club 2024. Shout out.
There you go. Yeah.
Let's get it.
Saw that plaque in your office earlier.
Thanks for the shout out.
Yeah.
So similarly, I'm Van, and worked with Hook and Haul and stayed on post-acquisition. We got acquired in 2023, so we're going on 2 years with Viking, and I stayed on, and now I manage Viking in Austin for our rental division.
You're crushing it, bro.
He's actually your boss.
He is my boss and my brother-in-law. Not weird.
It's complicated for me. Quit my job this week at Dell. I've been there 6.5 years as a field product manager. But recently took a job as a salesman in cybersecurity. So start that in a week. So a lot of change coming. Also, I'm a third owner of a beach house, a failing beach house. It's great.
Hey, you live and learn, man. You're on the market.
If anybody's looking
Hey, real
for a
businessmen
nice
take. Go to Galveston.
All right.
Hey, you're gonna be a businessman. You gotta take risks.
Getting vulnerable real quick.
You gotta leave your sound.
That's right.
All right. My name is Russ. I work for the same men's apparel brand, Burley Bow. I started there a little over a year ago. Background's engineering. Now I'm director of technology at this brand, and I'm loving it. It's a lot of fun, really busy, but a year in and it's a new thing, but I like it a lot.
Nice.
I'm Aaron Thomas. I'm a mortgage advisor, so I do residential mortgages, and I own a Summer Moon coffee in Abilene, and I'm another 1/3 partner of the failing beach house.
Do you see yourself ever becoming like one of those real estate influencers?
No.
Becoming?
Buy now.
Like on social media?
Yeah, on social media.
No.
No,
Not
It's
yet.
just not my
I
like.
could see myself doing that.
It's just not.
okay, but anyways,
It's just not my speed. I like to put stuff. I use social media, but I'm not going to be like an influencer on
gotcha.
like a finance.
Just
influencer.
curious.
Yeah.
It's like a thing right now. I feel like real estate influencers. Okay,
I'm Adrian. I run the tennis side of a country club, UT Golf Club there in Steiner Ranch. I've been doing that for the last 5 years.
on the side, he kicks all of our butt in pickleball.
Dude.
Yes.
And ping pong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Athlete. That's the most mysterious man in the world right there. Layers on layers. Yep. I'm Jackson. I sell farm and ranches in Texas with my brother and my dad, and born and raised in Texas, and so grew up kind of going out on land and all that. So it's kind of been a dream job for me to be able to work alongside my brother, and then also be able to just be out in God's creation. That's a blast. I love it.
Do you ever foresee the pod being sponsored by Shipley Ranches?
It could be sponsored anytime by Shipley Ranches.
All right, y'all hear that? We got that on the company.
Look, we got hats on hats.
We're live.
Yeah.
That's recorded.
I didn't say, but it's Shipley Ranches. That's our brand.
I would
Based
like
out of Texas.
I would like to say something. Did you give Eric, the guy who's 23 Media, like the founder, did you give him a Shipley Ranches hat?
Yeah.
I've never gotten one.
I haven't done
What?
that.
You haven't?
I've
Let me
never
say
gotten-
this.
I've never gotten one, and everyone, I think.
Oh,
Hey,
I-
now, hold on. Before we go,
I've never asked. I never. wanted to ask.
No. Before we go any further, we had a span where we were ordering hats for like 2 years. Everyone here can attest. Every time that we got in new hats, all the boys were hooked up. The reason why nobody's been hooked up is because we ain't put up a hat order in a minute.
Okay,
But I just got like 4 or 5 hats from my brother yesterday that he had someone press, and that's what I gave them. But we're getting ready to do a big order, and all the boys can get hooked up again.
Thank you. Here.
You're welcome.
Next season, we'll all be wearing our Shipley Ranges hats. Be on the lookout. Okay. Well, I wanted to. The girls, I was, like I said, sitting in on theirs, and they started off with just having some fun. We're calling this podcast "What the Men in Your Life Are Really Thinking." Like what your husbands are really thinking, what just your significant other. I feel like a lot of times women are like, I just can't tell what he's thinking. A lot of time it's not as deep as you would probably like it to be. But like we also do think, and we are, I think, a lot more deeper than I think a lot of people realize, like as men. And I just think a lot of men though don't know how to process what they're thinking. So we'll kind of get into some of that stuff later. But first, in the lighthearted realm of things, of what your men are really thinking, I want to just first ask, I know what the girls, they started their episode with their pet peeves of us. They kind of let people know what they really think about their pet peeves of us. But I thought, what if, because our wives are not in the room, but what if we actually told them what we really thought about them, and we encouraged them? And when they listen for the first time, we each just give them a quick, hey, Jenna, I just want you to know I think you're fill in the blank. So y'all can just take a moment, think about what you want to say. This isn't your chance to be Shakespeare, but we'll just say something quick, go around the room, and hopefully they're going to feel really bad about themselves.
All right, I'll start.
Let's go.
Addie Jane is the most empathetic, compassionate person I've ever met, and she never stops thinking about how other people feel and how she can support other people, and that's just like a huge gift. And she's like the sweetest woman I know. So
It's good.
Always has been. I talked in the first episode about how I was kind of liking her when I was like in 5th grade. So I always liked that quality about her.
Who's next?
I can jump in. So, Brogan is one of the most servant-hearted people that I know. To a fault, she will give of herself to other people, to where she's empty and has nothing left for herself. She's strong, and she serves her family and others just so well that I think it's inspirational to people around her. It inspires me. It makes me want to serve other people better, and something that drew me to her early on, and something that I've always loved. She's really good at it.
Our wives are loud too.
Yeah, I know. I was like, do we need to tell them to be quiet? Or do we need to tell them to be quiet, or are they good? Okay. They're in the other room. I said, make sure you are quiet. They're like, totally.
Yeah. 3 minutes in.
Yeah. They're like,
I'll go. Blaze is someone that when I think about her, I think of like steadfast. She's been through quite a bit. And she's been consistently the same person over and over. I think she's definitely, she walks with humility for sure. And she is someone that has been very loyal and stood by my side, just through times that have been unimaginably difficult, and it's been there for me through all of that. So just for consistency and being the same person over time.
It's good.
When I think of Holly, I think just supportive. I mean, she's supported us so much through like so many moves and through just so much in life. And I just think of how like great of a wife and a mother she is, like just always coming home to, clean house. And she's, I don't know, just such an amazing mom and such an amazing wife. It's kind of what I think about it.
I feel like mine is kind of ironic because we kind of got into it literally yesterday about this topic. And after just like having some time to reflect on it, we were basically, just so everyone knows, we just had our 4th child like 2 weeks ago. And I'm also just in like a somewhat of a transition with work. And so my time is just like, there's very little of it. And I was frustrated because it felt like she was committing to like a lot of things, but it's also funny because it's something that we like both bond over, of like wanting to support friends, be present with all of the things that we can. And I was like frustrated with what felt like a lack of time that we were having, but like reflecting back on it, it's just like a busy season of life, and she's staying consistent to like what we've always like had in our relationship is like loving friendships and like time with family and spending like as much time as we can supporting other people. And I love that about her. And it's, when she listens to this, it'll be probably funny to hear because I was angry about it 24 hours ago, but I really do. I just love how much she loves her friends, loves doing everything she can to like try to help people and like our family. And obviously like the house is always amazing. The kids are loved and taken care of and nurtured and all the things that you would want from a wife and a mother. So really thankful for her and all of that.
I'll go next. Jenna, when you hear this, I love your beautiful brown Puerto Rican skin. I think it's so sexy. Like the first thing I noticed about you. Like, and then stop. Like the second, I'm over here in my feels. I just saw her moderate the last podcast. I was like, wow, she crushed that. And then the second thing I'd say is like, I just love how fierce you are. I think that you're such a fierce person. I think you love fiercely. I think you are, you trust very fiercely. I think you mother fiercely. I think like you're just you're so strong. And I think a lot of people might see that, like a lot of guys might not find a lot of girls who like have very strong opinions and personalities, and just like a fierceness about them attractive. But to me, it's so attractive, and I never want you to change that. Even sometimes though, it keeps me in check and it makes me, really check myself. I hope you never change.
Brooke is my wife. Thankfully, she is an amazing mom. Brooke, you are an amazing mom, and I appreciate where I lack. I think that you pick up a lot of my selfish tendencies with my time, and I know without a shadow of a doubt that it's almost like she oozes meekness. Like I think as soon as you meet Brooke, you you know who she is, and it's like this humble, meek person that never changes. And it's definitely like as she's become a mom, like those tendencies have grown, and I've seen her grow a lot in her ability to parent well and love me well at the same time, because she's spread thin, but she still does a great job of laying her life down for our family, and I really appreciate it.
Jesse, you are the most compassionate and resilient person I know. I almost proposed to you on first sight, so I would say love at first sight. And I would say that's because I could see God's light shining through you. We've been through a lot the last few years, a lot of really good things, a lot of change. We dreamed very big, and you've been my biggest supporter. You've been the rock for our family, and we could not do any of this without you.
Last but not least, Sydney, I love just how you just edify people and just encourage them all the time, even if it's a stranger. Like if you felt led to encourage them, you just stepped up to it, and without thinking anything else, you just go for it. And similarly, like you talk to a wall, but you choose to talk to people, which I love. And that's obviously something that I don't have the gift of. I love that you have a gift of faith. You know, through the last 6 months, it's been tough, and you just kept strong and continued having faith that God would do it, and he did it. So love that.
That's awesome. Dude, they're going to be so fired. They're like, oh my God. Like, this is so romantic. This is so romantic. All right, we'll see you guys next week. That's all we needed to do.
Let's roast them real quick.
Yeah. I'm like, now pet peeves. No, so I do love like just starting there, because I do think that we all probably could agree that we could do a better job of being more vocal, like sharing what we think about our wives. I know I can. I don't know why. I mean, we could talk about that. I don't know why that is. I think sometimes I know what I feel, but I don't always just think like I should articulate this. Like I let so many moments, maybe it's like sometimes I'm like, you don't deserve this. You know, I don't know what it is, but I just wanted to start there. I think it's a great place, like for them to know, like, what's my husband thinking? Here's some things that we think about you. But when this episode comes out, it's going to be the week of Father's Day. So Adrian, you're the only guy here who's not right now yet a father. But I do also think that so many things around like fatherhood and being a man already apply to you just as a husband and as the leader of your home and future father that you will be. And so, you know, want to just start by saying, like, I think what I want to talk about is as men, as husbands, as fathers, when you talk about what are men thinking about? Like, what is going on in their mind? I do think work is a big part of what we think about a lot, but I think a lot of guys, where we get it wrong is all that the women see is like, it looks like work is more important than them, or they're like, you're always thinking about work. You're always thinking about work. And I think what I've come to realize is like, it actually to me is a pressure that I feel to provide. And so when I think about something that I think about a lot, and I'm sure a lot of you can speak to, is I am always thinking about, is my family provided for? Like, are they taken care of? And that makes, I stay up thinking about that, thinking about the next paycheck and what we have to do and the medical bills for my wife's pregnant. And all, I just am thinking about that stuff constantly. And I do think that that is sometimes, right or wrong, a motivator in how much I work. Like, it truly is. It's not just like an escape or like, oh, I love to achieve. There's like a pressure. So someone,
yeah, one thing I'd say to that is like, I feel like even at times when like it's going well, like, and really maybe you're at a point when like you just got a big bonus or like what, you know, a lot of us here, like, you know, you sold a big ranch or whatever. And, did a great mortgage deal, whatever it is, and everything is going great. You even still in that moment, like I know for me personally, like I'm still like thinking like, man, like I'm calculating, is this like this for that? You know, we have this for this house and that house and this one's vacant. And like I'm still thinking about it, even though like it's all fine. But I don't know, something in me is just like wanting to provide. Like I'm still like crunching the numbers, even though like I don't need to do that, but it's still something I do. I don't know if you'll do that as well.
Yeah, I think like at our core, I think we have an inherent design to work and to keep. You know, I think God placed Adam in the garden to work and to keep, and so that's built into us. There's a lot of, I would say, societal pressures that drive that work ethic and kind of get in the lane. For me, a lot of the conversations that Jesse and I have, like I'll tell her like, this is all for you. Like, this is what I'm doing, you know? And that there's truth to that. Absolutely. There are times though, when you kind of just get into that rhythm, you know, and sometimes it's easy, maybe, if you're good at what you do, you like what you do, and you kind of get in that flow state and you start going. I guess the fears of getting outside of that lane, you kind of try to stay locked in as much as possible. And there are times where you can kind of forget to pull away. And, but at the end of the day, like I think most of us here could agree that, you know, this ain't a hobby. Like what we're doing, it is a paycheck at the end of the day, right? I always tell people I work with, like, man, I love what I do. I love who I work with. But if I wasn't getting paid, I'd probably be hunting and fishing, right? I'd be hanging out with my family, my wife and kids. So at the end of the day, like it is to provide, it is for that security. There is a heightened pressure though to be the provider, the rock, stability for your wife, for your kids, providing a future. One of the things we've touched on is legacy too. And like, that's a huge part of it as well. If you can provide for your family, you want to leave a legacy, to your kids.
I think that's all a really good point. And I think too, for me, it's not just providing. Like obviously that is a large aspect of it, but I want to do really well. I want to be successful. I want to like do great at what I do and like achieve. I would say I'm an achiever, and maybe that's like growing up, you know, in the athletics world and being an athlete. Maybe there's like a competitive nature, competitive drive. I think that's just how a lot of men are wired that way.
I don't think it's bad either.
No, yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing. But it can be.
Yeah.
It can root itself in a way where that is idolatry. And that's something I feel like I've been learning and growing in a lot over the last 2 years, is just understanding that my worth and value is not in my success, number one. Number two, that my success it's fleeting at the end of the day. Like whatever that looks like for anybody, is that it's, you know, not worthless, but it's not worth as much as, you know, my family and the legacy I leave and the relationships that I have. And I think that's where that can get twisted, is like success is like everything and I have to be successful or I'm not valuable or my life isn't worthwhile. And I think that's where that can get twisted. But I definitely think that that's a big piece of it for me.
I think my perspective is a little different, just because I've been in a job where it pays the bills and we can't dream beyond like providing like now. And so I feel like I haven't really struggled with the whole like, man, is this enough money? Like I want more, because I've been like providing enough. And so I feel like because of that, like I've avoided this feeling of like, I need more. My insecurity, my like with work is comparing it to people that are around me that are making that kind of money, which is interesting that my insecurity is more towards like comparing my paycheck to my best friends, because like I have a lot of friends that make more money than I do. And I know that like whenever I take myself out of the situation, like I know that that's not right. And I know that like the dollar sign next to my name doesn't provide any value at all. But I wouldn't lie without saying like, I think those are the battles that I have with work specifically. Because I think that currently the money that I make provides enough and I'm satisfied with that. But when I take myself out of that situation, it's like, but I'm not doing as well as the person next to me. So I don't know if that makes sense. But
what's crazy though is I think like everyone to a degree, no matter how much money you make, like I think even the driver for them sometimes is because they're looking to the left, to the right and comparing. And it's like, it's weird how sometimes we know we're not supposed to attach value to a dollar sign, but people often do. And that feeling as a man of like walking into a new group of men and, the first thing that men do is like, what do you do? They're sizing you up. It feels like they're like, I want to know like, how much should I invest in this? Because is this going to be a return like for me? And you feel that you're like, oh, there's something in me that wants to be seen by people as impressive. Like, oh, you do this, or oh, you're part of that, or you've, whatever. And I think it's just so hard to posture yourself of like why we do what we do and what's it for.
Well, we also value busyness. Like we've talked about this before, but a lot of times people are like, how are you doing? And you're like, man, I'm just busy. And it's like, man, you're doing good then. Like if you're busy, like you're doing a good job. Like, but that's obviously countercultural for us as like our goal as Christians is to find rest in what we're doing. And so that's definitely the balance of like our culture tells us busyness equals success when in reality that is fleeting.
I think it's easy for our perspectives to shift also just as things play out, because I used to be in a similar situation where my job paid the bills and it was providing what it needed to. And I wasn't too concerned with like, okay, I need more, or I'm worried about something happening in my job until it was taken away from me. And my perspective shifted because I realized when I lost my job and I was laid off that I cared. Sorry, it hit me how much providing, I care so much about that. And I didn't realize it until it was taken from me. And so it was easy. Now looking back, hindsight's 2020, that I see I was taking it for granted. And so my perspective has shifted to where I do put more weight on that and I do feel more pressure for that because of where I used to be to where I am now.
Yeah. And I do think it's a gift to get to provide and be a leader in that way. So the next thing I think we think a lot about is protecting. So providing and then protecting. I think men think a lot about, and some of those things go hand in hand. But even having kids, right? Well, it starts with having a wife, obviously, but then having kids, like it only grows. I think this need to protect. But what I want to talk about as men is like, how do we, because I think another innate thing we struggle with is we could be passive. And I think a lot of young men or young women, they got into a lot of hurtful situations because they had passive fathers who didn't protect and who didn't provide all the things they needed. And so what's the tension y'all feel about like protecting, but not controlling though? Like you want to protect your kid's environment. You want to protect where they stay, if they sleep over, if they watch screens or what shows they watch, or, like as men, like what they see or what they're introduced to. And you want to and just safety overall, I think too, like all those things, but you also can't put them in a bubble and control them. But then you also can't, because of that, just sit back and be like, boys will be boys, or they'll figure it out. Like we have a responsibility. So all those tensions, like how does that look in y'all's lives?
I'll say I've got two boys. I've got one that's about to be 9 and one that's about to be 6, and a little girl that's on the way. And I think a lot about this side of like work and fatherhood. I think, which we'll hear about later some, but having just like someone pass, my mom passed away, and having someone pass away that's close to you, it just like really puts everything into perspective, like really fast and in your face. And so what it's done for me is it's allowed me to kind of like look at my life and live it backwards in a way. Like, who do I want to be when my time is over? What do I want my life to look like? What legacy did I leave? What did I do with my family, with my kids? And I had someone, a trusted friend of mine one time tell me he thinks about his kids and like their lives under his care in terms of how many Christmases that they have under his household. It's like, I've only got like, my kid's 9, I've only got 9 more Christmas trees to put up, you know? And that like really hits you when you think about it like that. It felt like just the other day, my oldest one was just here, Stone, or just born. And now he's getting ready to be 9. And I remember being a kid and getting into your teenage years, like you get to 15, 16, 17, and this bond that you have with your dad, if you're not careful, well, if you're not careful from a dad's standpoint, probably. From the kid's standpoint, it's natural to start like building these relationships with other people. You know, you're off kind of doing your own thing, your own desires, not just about what dad wants to do anymore, what we did together. It's, you know, kids are going to grow up. And so I think a lot about like, what am I doing to protect like their part of it is maybe like their innocence, like to control the path of like where they're headed. And my dad was a high school football coach, and he was a very big believer in that you train the child for the path and not the path for the child. So there's a boundary there of like, you know, you've got to instill in your kids things that are going to prepare them when they do step out from your house to be able to navigate and discern right from wrong and discern what decisions to make. And for all of us as like men of faith, we know that starts like in our home as fathers. If you look at the statistics, it's overwhelming the amount of like crimes that happen, the amount of folks that are in prison that are come from a fatherless home. Mm-hmm. And that like, I take a lot of pride in being a dad because of how much of an impact like my dad had on me. And my dad wasn't perfect. Like there's a lot of things about my dad that like, you know, as you get older, you see the good, you see the things that you wish you could change. But, you know, as a father now, I look at where I'm at. And sometimes I look around and I see my sons and I walk in the house. I'm like, dude, I can't believe you're almost 9. Like you're sitting in the front seat of my truck and we're just talking, you know, we're doing these things together. And like, he's like a young man before my eyes. And it hits me like, wow, I've got to teach him all these things. I've got to prepare him, protect him from what's out there, but not by like not going out there, but like teaching you here so that you can be what you need to be out there because I know what's coming.
Yeah, that last point I feel like is really good. Like teaching and being intentional about like, hey, this is what's coming your way, or these are the things you should expect, and like guiding that. I feel like my experience with my dad was like amazingly supportive and always there, coached me in every sport. Like he's amazing. I wish he would have been a little more intentional with me on some things that I dealt with like in my teenage years, especially that, you know, I think kind of just again, sort of shaping like an understanding of what to expect and how to act and how to treat people. And, you know, I think for me, that's something I want to do really well. And obviously my kids are young and I'm not quite to that point, but it's starting to get to a place where, hey, you know, kids are going to start being exposed to different things as they get into school. And so just helping them, giving them a path to walk, but not controlling it and controlling every step, but like preparing their minds for it, I think is really good.
I feel like I'm having like multiple different aspects of like how to view the protection side of things, because it's like for the wife, like the obvious, like physically we're going to protect her, do whatever we can, but also like you're trying to socially and like culturally protect her, like try to help guide her and lead her into the right places and right friendships and relationships and help out whatever way you can there. When it comes to the kids, it's first, obviously, the same thing, the physical protection side of things, just like keeping them safe, keeping them in good places, making smart decisions with them. but a lot of what Aaron and Jackson were just saying of like teaching them and educating them of how to just make good decisions and how to just be safe themselves, because you're not always going to be there. And I've got 4 kids that are varying from 2 weeks to 5 years. And so like the 5-year-old, soon to be 6-year-old, is now at school and doing different things, exposed to different things. And so it's like a kind of like a battle for me of like figuring out how to communicate and try to protect them all in the different ways. And so that's been something I've been kind of like not struggling with, but just trying to work through. And honestly, like being in a group like this, a community group where we're able to like just talk and hear things regularly. Jack's got Stone that's almost 9, and other guys that have kids that are around the same age. It's been super helpful to like just hear those things. Like what do you do with this situation?
Yeah,
so it's been super helpful.
I think also like being a safe place for them. Like I think that's like a level of protection of being a safe place where our kids can come to us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a lot of people that probably can't say that their dad was a safe place for them, that they could come and feel cared for, feel loved, feel protected, and feel safe to be like, hey, I'm struggling with this, or hey, I did this. And I think that's really important as men, as fathers, to be able to create a safe place for them to just be able to have a conversation and a relationship with us, especially as our kids get older and start dealing with like real world things, like establishing the foundation of a relationship early in the stages a lot of us are in now, and building on that so that our kids can be 16 years old and be like, Dad, I'm struggling with this, and not feel shameful about whatever it is they're dealing with, but feel like they can talk to us. I think that's going to be really important in the way that our children are molded. And
I think so many men are good at the physical protection part. Like they almost have a pride in that. Like, oh yeah, my kids are safe. I'm a man. Like, don't mess with my kids. But then they suck at being emotionally a safe place.
Yeah.
Spiritually a safe place. And I bet a lot of people can relate to that with like their own dads. It's like, yeah, I knew my dad loved me. Like a lot of guys will say, I knew my dad loved me. My dad worked really hard. Like he worked hard to care for me, or he put me through college. They'll say that, but rarely do you hear a guy our age, I feel like, say like, my dad knew me, or I knew my dad, or my dad and me were best friends, or we were close. And like my dad was a safe place for me to process, or anything like that. I feel like you don't hear that as much. And so I feel like you're so right. It's just it's you got to hold it just as important. And I do want to say this quickly, but to keep moving on with the conversation, there's so much good stuff, but I think that also takes that you might have that father wound that is repeating itself. The guy that you're afraid to be, you're becoming, and it's because you haven't dealt with your own relationship with your dad. And so like, until you forgive him, or until you talk to him, or until you acknowledge that, you're probably going to like not be able to process those emotions with your own kids, because there's that block, because you've suppressed that, and you haven't healed from that part of you. Because every young man, whether he wants to admit or not, desires a relationship with their father, a bond with their father. If you didn't have that, it's going to be really hard for you to connect authentically with your kids if you don't deal with that.
And to add to Aaron's point too, like we were just talking about protection and him being a safe place, but like for the way you just mentioned, like I didn't grow up with a dad basically, so it's just like I didn't have that aspect of it. And I've mentioned that before. I'm just like, man, it's cool that y'all got to learn how to hunt. I had to learn that in college, and like I don't do it anymore. But like more so the like being a safe place for them, like that relationship alone will definitely guide them spiritually to be able to lean on God in that situation as well. Because if they see you as not a safe place, like the relationship I understand it, and y'all can agree to it too, as we know the relationship you have with your earthly father is definitely going to be like
how you connect
with
Father. Yeah.
With God the Father. So it's one of those deals where it's just like, yes, you do want to be that safe place, and you can't really emulate God, but like that's the goal. It's just like,
I think one thing that was like, a lot of times we'll like look back at something and be like, well, and maybe in that moment, it didn't seem like we agreed with our parents or like our father's decision. But then like now looking back, I'm like, wow, he was so right. You know, I don't know if any of y'all had, I mean, I just feel like there's so many times when it was.
Yeah, there is only so much we can do, and like kids are going to kid, and like, yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
But so providing, protecting, like so much we could go on with all of that. I think the last thing I wanted to talk about that I know I deal with a lot, and probably you too, is pursuing. And what actually though, I don't lay in bed thinking about how can I better pursue my wife. That's actually not. I wish that were the case. Raise your hand if you've ever dealt with husband guilt or father guilt. Okay, like I think we think a lot through the lens of guilt. And I think what it is we think like I am not pursuing enough. Like I'm not pursuing my wife enough, or I'm not pursuing my kids enough. And I think it's like this weird thing that men have to deal with because we only have so much time in a day. And if we prioritize providing, protecting, I think a lot of times what gets put on the bottom is pursuing. And I know for my wife, like, she's not going to care if I'm a millionaire one day if she doesn't connect with me. Like, if I'm not pursuing her, she's not impressed by a lot of the most divorced people are the richest people. Like, it's not like the money can buy happiness in the marriage. But I think that for me, I do deal a lot with, I think a lot about, man, like, am I pursuing Jenna enough? Am I spending enough time present with Ellery, my daughter? But then it's at war a little because I'm like, but I got to keep working hard and I got to keep, I'm paving a way. And I think a lie that a lot of men buy in is they're like, well, I'm grinding now, so then I can pursue them really well in 15 years. Well, at that point,
Ain't gonna happen.
yeah, at that point, it's already tanked. Like 15 years of no pursuit, that relationship is done for. And so what would y'all say to someone right now who has that mentality of like, work hard, provide, so one day you can all retire and like, then you'll pursue?
I'll say, for starters, all of this is hard. Like, this is not easy. I think a lot of times we try to project that like, we got this is easy, this is who we are, we're men. It's not. It's really hard, and it's really hard to do alone. I think coming into this community group, the first time I met most of y'all, was single, and most everybody who was married, having kids, and getting to see men become fathers. And, you know, iron sharpens iron. Getting to learn from everyone as I stepped into that marriage phase. We started having kids. As Russell was talking about earlier, like our perspective shifts a little bit. And so when you look at providing, protecting, and pursuing, like I probably came in providing headstrong, right? I was like, Jesse's resilient. Jesse's super capable. So I've got to like one up her to feel valuable in this relationship. Like I have to provide even more because she can do it on her own. I have to protect her even more because she can do it on her own. Right. And then the pursuit kind of fell off on that end. And recently I was probably providing too much. Like I was putting like 95% of my effort into providing, and just had that exact conversation where I literally sat down and told Jesse, and she's going to laugh listening to this, because I sat her down and told her, Jesse, I said, I need you to stick with me because we're going to grind it out for a few years, and I just need you to hang tough, and we're going to get through this, and then we can coast.
We're going to lock in.
Yeah. I literally was like, we're locking in for a few years. This thing's going to take off. We're going to clear the trees, and it's gravy from there. Right. And then I was having a conversation with Aaron, and I was kind of talking through some of our issues that I was experiencing personally, like not feeling as connected with my kids, not feeling as connected in my marriage, and being like, man, I want these things to happen, but I'm putting all of my focus on work and providing and legacy. And I told Aaron, I said, whenever we were going through I think I went through 3 job changes, like promotions in a year, and like literally 1 or 2 years. And I was like, man, if once I get that next level, we're good. And then I got there and another opportunity came up and I was like, all right, hang tough. 1 more level and then we can coast, you know? And then another opportunity, it just kept going. And, I told Aaron, I said, after this next promotion, and we moved to Georgetown, I said, things are going to be great. And Aaron, he told me, he said, don't wait. If you have problems now, focus on those. Start working on those because those are going to follow you. It's not going to change just because of how much money you make. It's not going to change just because of where you live, who you're around, right? It's your intentionality with that. So the pursuit in that perspective shift, like money's going to come and go. Close proximity friendships, right? We lived an hour from everyone. Now we're like 15 minutes from, but it's all about that intentionality. And then same with Jesse and our marriage. Like you cannot wait. There will not be a right time for you to pursue your wife. You need to pursue her as much as you possibly can.
Yeah, I think pursuit and like presence go hand in hand. Like those two things, at least in our family, like mine and Addie's love language is quality time. Like we want time together. And the more we can, I've really tried to work hard over the last couple of years on like my presence. Like when I'm home and my mind's not wandering and I'm like really trying to engage with my family more. And I think that's a huge piece, like, especially because we're not going to get time back. Like time's the most precious resource we have and it's going to continue to move forward and we're going to lose it. And that's just the fact of the matter. It's like being able to be present in moments, create memories with the people that we love and we're around, I think is a layer of pursuing those people, especially if, again, like your significant other responds to quality time and things like that.
And my thoughts are similar. I think for me, like time is important, but I think it's what you do with that time. I think COVID, whenever it first hit, like we were all home a lot. And I think that it blurred the lines of like work, home, like time together. And I think because those lines were blurred, the time spent together was not intentional at all. And I think that we're 5 years in now, and I'll be the first to say I'm not good at pursuing Brooke. Like I definitely fall short on this often, but I think that the days that we connect well and that I'm pursuing her well, that it's not this formula where it's like, all right, today Connor spent 2 hours with Brooke, so that equals connection. It was more so Connor engaged, asked good questions in 30 minutes. That equals connection and pursuit to me. It's what you do with the time, I think, more so than like the actual time spent. Because again, like during COVID, we were spending hours on end in the same room, but it almost like started to feel like we were roommates. So
I think all of this, we could do a whole season on all these things. And I think for me, like the application, like I'm hearing, or I want, if guys are listening to this, or if you're a wife at home and like, you're like, man, like, I don't know, like you're learning things about maybe like how your husband's thinking about things. I think the biggest encouragement I would have is like to talk about it. Just talk to your friends.
Just do it.
Yeah, just talk. And it's like, oh, I'd rather like do anything than like talk. I've been working
Why?
Yeah.
Why are we so bad at it?
Well, I think a big piece of it's like we're distracted by our phones, and like people go home, and I'm guilty of this sometimes too. Because I go home after the day, we get on the couch after the kids go to bed, and we're like, and then we get on our phone, you know. And I think too, the wives, if you think about it, they've been talking to the 2-year-olds all day that like are screaming at them. We've been talking to like peers, coworkers, like we've been doing like ambitious things. So like I know for me, like when I get home, she's like, I want to talk to like a human, like someone who gets it. And I'm like, I want to do anything but talk. I've talked all day.
Yeah.
Like, I've led meetings today, like, and it's just like war. It's like, you don't care about me. And I'm like, no, it's not that deep. I swear. Like, It really isn't. And I think that is like a real thing, but who cares? I need to talk to my wife, and I need to talk to my friends.
Talk.
Like, guys are so bad at talking. Like, even like if you get around guys that you can tell they aren't like used to like deep friendships, it's so evident so quick because like they do not know how to talk. And so like once you try to go a step, it's like blah 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 blah. It's like so they don't know how.
It's just unnatural.
So I think like trying to make talking natural, and that could sound so. Like if girls were like doing application stuff for moms, they'd be like, first, know your identity, whatever. For guys, it's like, just talk. Like just, that's a great step. And like, it's going to go so far in your relationships because we're all pretty bad at it. And so I want to wrap up with something and then y'all can share any final thoughts and we can be done. I asked, there's a couple back in my hometown that I really have always admired with how they parent and how their marriage is. They're just like goals to me, which I think also is a good application, like find someone further along and learn from them. And I can't remember the question I asked them, but I said like, one thing I've noticed is all their kids are older and they're always still around. Like they're always home. And like they have their own homes. One of them's married with a kid, but they're always there. And I'm like, so many kids, I think it's like, I can't wait to leave home. And these kids, it's like, I can't wait to come visit home. And I just asked them like, how did you do that? I want to be that home that my kids are like, oh, I can't wait to go home. Not like, oh, I have to go home for Christmas during college or whatever. And they looked at me and they said, cause there's so much out there that's telling you how to be a parent, a spouse or whatever. And they were like, you get one shot. Like you get one shot at raising your kids. And the world and culture is going to tell you so many ways to do that thing right. Whether it's let them go or quick control or whatever. And your kids' are going to thank you. Like your kids, like generations will thank you if you used your one shot right. So she's like, times people might have thought I spent too long letting my kids sleep in my bed. People might have thought I was weird to homeschool. People might have thought it was weird how we didn't allow phones till this age. All of these things, people were probably like, they had all these varying opinions, but we decided in my home, we get one shot and they're our kids. They're our responsibility. And we chose, how do we feel like, how do we do it? Like, how's God calling us to do it? Because it's our responsibility, no one else's. And I think that just like fired me up because I was like, it's my kids are my responsibility and I get one shot with them in this life of who they're going to be. And that's the same for all of us. Like we all have these little humans and we all have these marriages. Like we only get one marriage. We only get one time to be parents to these kids. And so like how you live it matters.
It's good.
So
yeah.
I do have one thing I want to say, and really this is more just like related to, I have a lot I could say in response to that. Was really good.
Yeah.
But just related to like having other men, like their friendships, obviously like modern family, like friends that are like family, like it's just such a blessing that we can like sit in a circle and chat. Like I've thought about this like multiple times every day the last couple of days since we were talking about at group, like, being in heaven together when, Landon said, I can't wait to spend eternity with you or hope one day we get to. And anyway, I've thought so many times about like us sitting around in a circle, like one day in heaven, like, and just the fullness of joy and the fullness of what that's going to be. And anyway, I'm really thankful that one day I get to spend that eternity with all of you. Like today's been a fun day, just getting to like reminisce on stories and just be together and have fun and do all the things. And I'm just really grateful that like one day we're going to get to do that, like in the fullness of joy and the fullness of what God calls us to. It's been on my mind a lot. So I just wanted to add that.
Thanks. Jackson, I think you're about to say something. You want to wrap us up?
Yeah, I'll wrap us up. There's definitely like probably a million paths we could go down with this. I think each of us are passionate about just being a man of faith, what that means for everything, every like outlet in our life, whether that be our family, kids, our job, and then even outside of our job. And, you know, one thing, just kind of piggybacking off what Aaron said, is like, what a blessing to have other men that we can have as sounding boards that are in their Bible. You know, like think about what loneliness does when you start going down rabbit trails and all of a sudden you start thinking about, you get some weird theology. You start thinking about some weird spiritual things that are not backed up by what's in the actual Word of God. And to be able to have men that are walking in Scripture and to be able to speak to them and have that be a sounding board, and then be able to say, hey, actually, like, they kind of check you there and redirect you back to the authority of the Word of God. That's a really special thing to have when you have men who go deeper than the dirt level, you know, like that's, like JD said, like it's shocking sometimes when you get around men that are really not men. They're kind of boys that are the age of a man. And I have folks like that I know even that are in their 60s or 70s, and you get to talking to them and you realize really quickly, like, there's no depth here at all. You know, and it makes me really sad to think about like how much life could have been different for this man had they given their life to the Lord and had deep rooted relationships with those around them. Not to say their life what didn't count or wasn't great. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like how awesome is it and fulfilling that we, as young as we are, already have that for the remainder of however long our life is. Like for someone that's 55 and they lived to 70, like, and they had 15 years of their life where they were walking with the Lord and they had that, like, great. For someone that's 25 that already has that, and, you know, they could live to 35 or 40, and it's like they still had like that, even though their lifespan was shorter, like they had that fullness in their life. Imagine if it's 50 years and men that you walk alongside that can spur you on, you know, and I'm a person of deep conviction, and I don't want my life to be a waste at all. Like, I think very often it keeps me up at night and gets me up early to think about purpose in life and impact, and like the people around me, being a protector, guiding, leading them the right way. And ultimately that's to lead others to the Lord. Like we know that in everything that we do. And like we're an example to our kids before they even know the Lord. We're that example for them. We're the example for everyone out in the workforce. You know, we're called to be salt and light to everyone out there in all of our actions, you know, and that is something that I take a lot of, like, and I know we all do, it's not pride. I have a lot of conviction in that. And I think if we all lived and strived to be that way, although it may not be perfect, when our last like minute ticks, like that's a life well lived. You know, if you can say like my life was lived like with purpose, with the main purpose of my life being to tell as many people about the Lord as I can, and to live my life with the fruit of that everyone can see, you know, and that to me is like, whatever else happens in life, so be it. Doesn't matter. But if that happened, like, well done, you know. It's awesome. Good.
Yeah, fired up.
Yeah. You know, he always comes in with this talk. It gets me going. Yeah. For real, love you guys. And it's an honor to get to figure this stuff out with all of you. Wouldn't want to do it with anyone else. Hope you guys are encouraged, and hope you start talking more because we all need it. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next week.
Bros.